Have you ever paused long enough to ask yourself, am I truly living or just existing? You might be spending your most valuable years locked in routines, eyes fixed on a glowing screen, buried in deadlines and distractions. You chase progress, like a hamster on a wheel. But have you ever stopped to ask where that wheel is really taking you? What is the finish line you're so desperate to reach? For years, I didn't even realize I was wasting my life. The truth crept in, slowly and uncomfortable, feeling that maybe I wasn't happy, that maybe I wasn't living at all. I was simply breathing, functioning, performing, but not thriving. I found myself trapped in a job I never loved. Day after day, I pushed papers, met quotas, answered emails, all while wearing a mask of competence. I was surrounded by numbers, performance reviews, and performance pressure, but no passion. I smiled at meetings and chased promotions, not because I cared, but because I needed the approval. Recognition became a substitute for real purpose. I was addicted to validation, desperate to prove I was enough. Yet with every step I took toward success, I drifted further from who I truly was. This, right here, is the silent, epidemic millions of us chasing an illusion, confusing busyness with meaning. We convince ourselves that we're living, when we're really just maintaining. The world teaches us to run harder, climb higher, and never stop. But Stoic wisdom whispers a deeper truth. Focus on what lies within your control. Your thoughts, your actions, your mindset. When you start tuning into that inner world, when you reclaim your power over your own mind, everything changes. Life stops being a performance and begins to feel real again. Each moment becomes not just something to survive, but something to savor. So ask yourself honestly, are you building a life that belongs to you, or one designed to impress others? One morning, Scott woke up and realized something deeply unsettling. He couldn't remember the last time he had a real conversation with his children. Their laughter, their stories from school, their small requests for attention they had, all passed by like distant echoes. How many moments had he traded for unread emails and missed calls? How many warm family dinners had vanished into thin air while he sat in cold meeting rooms, nodding to PowerPoint slides that barely mattered? Scott had spent nearly a decade climbing the corporate ladder, beginning each day with high pressure meetings and ending them staring at spreadsheets long after the sun had set. From the outside, he was the picture of success, a polished CEO with a corner office and a calendar full of important engagements. But inside, he was slowly unraveling. He had mistaken constant activity for fulfillment. He believed that accomplishments and accolades were the currency of self-worth. Yet none of those things filled the emptiness he felt at home. Even after these realizations, Scott continued to run the same exhausting race. Why? Because he hadn't yet learned the core truth that Stoicism teaches: we suffer most when we chase things beyond our control. The more we stake our identity on external results, titles, applause, wealth, the further we drift from true peace. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. These weren't just poetic words. They were lifelines, roadmaps back to meaning. Scott, like many of us, had confused his net worth with his self-worth. He could have chosen a different response to pressure, could have taken time to reconnect, to breathe, to be present. He let numbers rule his life, while joy quietly withered in the background. As he chased promotions and profit margins, Scott also grew more isolated. When hardship eventually struck, he reached for his phone not to call family, but to check work messages. He had no one left to share his burden. The cost of chasing status was profound, a lonely soul in a gilded cage, holding billion-dollar contracts in one hand and an aching heart in the other. This is the great illusion we all face, believing that success means sacrificing self. But if you give up everything that truly matters for something you can never fully control, what do you have left? Scott's story is not unique. It is a quiet warning, one many of us feel deep down but hesitate to act on. The real question is, will you keep running toward what doesn't fulfill you, or finally choose to turn inward and reclaim what does? One morning, Scott woke up and realized something deeply unsettling. He couldn't remember the last time he had a real conversation with his children. Their laughter, their stories from school, their small requests for attention they had, all passed by like distant echoes. How many moments had he traded for unread emails and missed calls? How many warm family dinners had vanished into thin air while he sat in cold meeting rooms, nodding to PowerPoint slides that barely mattered? Scott had spent nearly a decade climbing the corporate ladder, beginning each day with high pressure, meetings and ending them staring at spreadsheets long after the sun had set. From the outside, he was the picture of success, a polished CEO with a corner office and a calendar full of important engagements. But inside, he was slowly unraveling. He had mistaken constant activity for fulfillment. He believed that accomplishments and accolades were the currency of self-worth. Yet none of those things filled the emptiness he felt at home. Even after these realizations, Scott continued to run the same exhausting race. Why? Because he hadn't yet learned the core truth that Stoicism teaches: we suffer most when we chase things beyond our control. The more we stake our identity on external results, titles, applause, wealth, the further we drift from true peace. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These weren't just poetic words. They were lifelines, roadmaps back to meaning. Scott, like many of us, had confused his net worth with his self-worth. He could have chosen a different response to pressure. He could have taken time to reconnect, to breathe, to be present. But he let numbers rule his life, while joy quietly withered in the background. As he chased promotions and profit margins, Scott also grew more isolated. When hardship eventually struck, he reached for his phone not to call family, but to check work messages. He had no one left to share his burden. The cost of chasing status was profound. A lonely soul in a gilded cage, holding billion-dollar contracts in one hand and an aching heart in the other. This is the great illusion we all face, believing that success means sacrificing self. But if you give up everything that truly matters for something you can never fully control, what do you have left? Scott's story is not unique. It is a quiet warning, one many of us feel deep down but hesitate to act on. The real question is, will you keep running toward what doesn't fulfill you, or finally choose to turn inward and reclaim what does? Why do they seem to be soaring while you're still struggling? Why does it feel like everyone else is succeeding faster, shining brighter, climbing higher while you're left wondering if you've missed your chance? These haunting questions creep in every time you scroll through the perfectly filtered lives of others online. Lavish vacations, dream jobs, flawless selfies, smiling faces. Behind every post is an invitation to compare on. It's a trap. You sit in front of the screen, eyes glazed, heart sinking, asking yourself, why haven't I done anything remarkable yet? That's how dissatisfaction begins. Slowly, silently, like a fog rolling in. And before you know it, you're judging your own life not by your growth values or progress, but by someone else's curated highlight reel. It's like giving the remote control of your happiness to strangers. This is the hidden poison of modern life, comparison. Stoicism, with its ancient but timeless wisdom, offers a powerful antidote. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If your mind becomes a scoreboard for other people's victories, you forget how to value your own journey. Comparison is more than envy, it's the quiet surrender of your self-worth. Each time you measure yourself against another's success, you reinforce the lie that you're not enough. And worse, you forget to be grateful for the beauty already present in your own life. The coffee that warms your hands in the morning, the walk beneath trees swaying in the wind, a friend's laughter. These are miracles we ignore when we're too busy chasing a manufactured idea of more, instead of obsessing over who's ahead. Try this. Each morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Then, list 3 ways you grew yesterday, if it's as simple as being more patient or drinking more water. Build a habit of self-awareness, not self-judgment. This is how Stoicism trains your mind to focus on what's real. And when envy rises, because it will ask, is this feeling within my control? If the answer is no, let it pass like a wave. Don't build your worth on others' milestones. Build it on your own integrity, your courage, your growth. Because the truth is this: the person you're meant to become isn't found on someone else's timeline. It's discovered in the quiet, consistent pursuit of your own. Imagine a mind finally free from the constant noise of comparison. From the nagging worry about who's ahead and who's falling behind. Imagine waking up, not with the weight of needing to prove yourself, but with the quiet joy of simply being. This is what happens when you stop measuring your life by others' timelines and begin to embrace your own. True freedom doesn't start with external change, it begins in your mind. When you release the frantic need to compare, you unlock the ability to live at your own pace, guided by your own values. You no longer chase perfection sculpted by social media filters. Instead, you cherish the imperfect, the authentic, the moments that are truly yours. But how do we get there? How do we unshackle ourselves from this mental prison? Stoic philosophy offers a path. It begins with intention, with small daily practices that shift your focus inward. Start by keeping a journal not to track success in the way the world defines it, but to celebrate growth in the way you define it. Write down 3 things each day that made you stronger, kinder, or more self-aware. Celebrate those victories, however small. And when envy creeps in, as it inevitably will, treat it like a passing storm. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself that Stoic's favorite question: is this within my control? If it isn't, let it pass. Refuse to fuel the fire of self-doubt. Instead, return to your core values: integrity, patience, courage. These qualities will never fail you. They are the compass that always points true north. Gratitude is the secret antidote to dissatisfaction. When you start noticing the beauty in the ordinary, a shared smile, a moment of peace, a small win, you cultivate joy from within. No achievement can substitute for this. No applause can replace it. The world outside becomes quieter, and the voice within becomes stronger. If you continue to live by comparison, you will eventually lose sight of who you really are. Your passions, your purpose, your presence, they all fade under the weight of someone else's story. Don't let that happen. You are not here to imitate. You are here to live your truth, your pace, your path. And the moment you stop comparing, you don't just regain control. You begin to write your own story. One choice, one thought, one day at a time. Have you ever felt like you're drifting through life, like a leaf caught in the current of a river, moving endlessly, but never arriving anywhere meaningful? Many of us wake up every morning and go through the motions, check our phones, head to work, deal with meetings, answer messages, and yet deep inside, we feel lost. We sense we're not moving forward, but we're too caught up in the rush to stop and ask, where am I going? Living without clear goals is one of the most subtle but devastating ways to waste your life.
It may not seem harmful at first.
After all, routines offer stability, and distractions help us ignore the emptiness. But when you're drifting, you're not really choosing, you're reacting. You become a character in someone else's script, fulfilling someone else's dream, while your own fades into the background. Stoicism teaches that clarity is power. Seneca warned that time slips away not because life is short, but because we waste so much of it. Without a clear destination, every day becomes a coin tossed into the ocean, lost forever. The danger isn't just failure. The true danger is waking up one day and realizing you've forgotten what once made you feel alive. So what can you do? Begin with brutal honesty. Sit down and ask yourself, who do I want to become? Not what job you want, not what others expect of you, but what kind of person you long to be. Then, follow the wisdom of Epictetus. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This isn't just advice. It's a blueprint for a meaningful life. Your Chris Gardner's story, immortalized in The Pursuit of Happiness, is a powerful reminder of this truth. Homeless, jobless, and raising. A child, Gardner refused to drift. He chose a goal, become a stockbroker, and pursued it with unshakable commitment. Every hardship became fuel, every obstacle a step forward. He knew exactly why he was fighting. You don't need to start with perfection, you just need to start with purpose. Define your values. Set goals that align with them. I take one small, clear action each day toward that vision. Because when your life is guided by purpose, even your struggles become meaningful. And when the winds of chaos blow, you won't be swept away. You'll be steering your ship, knowing exactly where you're going. When was the last time you truly paused to ask yourself, have I done well today? Not in terms of productivity or how many boxes you ticked off your to-do list, but in terms of character, values, and presence. In the rush of modern life, self-reflection has become a forgotten art. We run from deadline to deadline, distraction to distraction, without stopping to look inward. And in that constant movement, we lose touch with ourselves. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, made it a habit to ask himself daily whether he had lived in accordance with his principles. He didn't wait for the end of the week or the end of the year, examined himself every day, not to judge, but to grow. Through reflection, he ensured that each passing day wasn't just consumed, but used. In today's fast-paced world, we avoid reflection because we fear what we might find. We're afraid to admit that we've fallen short, made mistakes, or drifted from our values. It's easier to stay busy, to distract ourselves with noise and novelty. But the price is steep. Without self-examination, we end up living lives shaped by habits, external expectations, and unconscious decisions. Days blur into weeks, and suddenly, years have passed. We wonder how we got here. But the truth is, we never stop to look. Reflection is not about guilt, it's about guidance. When you take time to ask, where did I act with integrity today? Or where did I let fear, anger, or pride guide me? You regain agency. You stop being a puppet of your emotions and start becoming the author of your behavior. Start simple. Each night, write down one thing you did well and one thing you want to improve tomorrow. Over time, this small practice builds immense inner strength. You'll find that your thoughts become clearer, your decisions more aligned, and your days more meaningful. True self-reflection also unlocks gratitude. You begin to notice the good in your life and in yourself, not just the flaws. And that awareness becomes fuel for resilience, motivation, and peace. Don't wait for a breakdown or a midlife crisis to begin this journey. Make reflection a daily ritual. It is through this honest dialogue with yourself that growth truly begins. In that space of quiet honesty, you will discover that your best self has been waiting patiently, just beneath the surface, all along. Change. It's a word that stirs fear in many hearts. Even though we know that life is constantly shifting, we still cling tightly to our comfort zones. We build routines like walls around us, convincing ourselves that staying put means staying safe. But deep down, we know the truth. Resisting change doesn't protect us. Stoicism invites us to embrace the impermanence of life, to face change with courage instead of retreat. It teaches us that all things, even the most painful transitions, are a part of nature's rhythm. As the ancient phrase, memento mori, reminds us, remember, you will die. It's not to be morbid, but to remind us that time is precious. Every day spent resisting change is a day spent not fully living. So many people remain stuck in jobs that drain their spirit or relationships that no longer nourish their soul, not because they're content, but because they're afraid. Afraid of starting over, afraid of judgment, afraid of the unknown. But the longer you stay where you don't belong, the more your soul withers. Your dreams dim, your energy fades. You don't just stand still, you decay slowly from the inside out. And yet the moment we finally face that fear, the moment we say, this is not how I want my story to go, we ignite something powerful. A willingness to change is the beginning of reclaiming our life. You don't need to leap. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is take one small step. Stoic wisdom doesn't demand that we be fearless. Simply asks us not to let fear decide. Our future, change, is not the enemy. Stagnation is. The illusion of safety is far more dangerous than the uncertainty of growth. What's the use of clinging to a life that doesn't inspire you? Instead, summon the strength to evolve. Speak to your fear. Understand it. Then walk forward with it, not away from it. you'll find that every act of courage, no matter how small, expands your world. Suddenly, new doors appear. New strengths emerge. Your dreams, once buried, begin to rise again. Don't wait for regret to shake you awake. Let the awareness of life's brevity be the fire that fuels your transformation. You were not born to remain the same. You were born to grow, to adapt, and to become someone braver, stronger, and more alive than you ever imagined. The real limit is not change, it's your refusal to embrace it. We often live under the illusion that there will be time to chase our dreams, time to make things right, time to start living more fully. But that illusion is the thief of life. Days slip through our fingers like sand, and if we're not intentional, we wake up to find that we've sacrificed years to routines, distractions, and fears. Stoicism calls this out with brutal clarity. It reminds us that wasted time is a far greater loss than wasted money. Marcus Aurelius didn't mince words when he said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This isn't meant to scare us, it's meant to wake us up. Too many people live their entire lives waiting for the perfect moment to act. They wait for more clarity, more confidence, more money, more motivation. And in waiting, they never begin. They tell themselves, "I'll start tomorrow," or "One day I'll finally do it," as if time is something guaranteed. But that one day never arrives, and slowly regret begins to grow. Take Luke, for example. He once dreamed of becoming a writer. He had a story that burned within him, a novel he believed could change lives. But every morning, he hesitated.
All right.
When I feel more inspired, he'd say, or next week will be better. Those excuses became habits, and those habits became chains. Years passed. The story never left his mind, but it never made it to the page. It wasn't until he reached a breaking point alone, overwhelmed and aching with disappointment, that he opened the blank document once more. His fingers trembled, but he typed the first sentence. And that was enough. That single act, that one page, broke the cycle. Because progress is never about giant leaps. It's about taking one small, courageous step forward. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Every time you postpone action, you're choosing hesitation over creation. You're delaying the life you were meant to live. The lesson: don't wait. Don't waste today dreaming of a tomorrow that may never come. Start now, perfectly, fearfully, but with intention. Because once you do, you'll discover that the life you've always longed for begins the moment you stop procrastinating and start living. Have you ever felt like you were standing at the edge of something great, but fear kept you frozen? That tight knot in your chest, the voice in your head whispering, "What if I fail?" It's more common than you think. Fear of failure is one of the most powerful forces keeping people from living the lives they truly desire. It paralyzes dreams, silences ambition, and slowly eats away at self-belief. But here's what we often forget. The cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of failure. When you avoid taking risks, you don't stay safe, you stay stuck. You trade growth for comfort. You swap possibility for routine. The longer you wait, the more your courage fades, and the less of your potential you explore. Stoicism teaches us not to run from failure, but to embrace it. The Stoic concept of amor fati, to love one's fate, encourages us to welcome every experience, even the painful ones, as essential steps in our journey. What if you began to see every obstacle not as a reason to quit, but as a path forward? Look at Colonel Harlan Sanders, founder of KFC. He was rejected nearly 1,000 times before someone believed in his fried chicken recipe. Can you imagine if he had given up at 100 or 500? The world would have never tasted what became a global legacy. Sanders didn't treat failure as a wall, he treated it as a lesson, a test of how much he believed in himself. You don't need to be fearless to begin. You just need to begin, despite the fear. Small steps build momentum. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in the face of it. Even if you fall, you learn. Even if you stumble, you grow. Each setback becomes a stone in the foundation of your resilience. So the next time fear grips your mind, pause and ask, what will it cost me to do nothing? Let that question shake you. Let it push you forward. Because no dream ever becomes reality through hesitation, or calling won't wait forever. Your time is now. Begin while you're afraid. Move while you're uncertain. Act before you're ready. Because it's through these very moments, these raw, shaky, brave beginnings, that you carve the life you were born to live. There's a quiet kind of failure that doesn't shout, doesn't break things, doesn't come with a dramatic fall. It's the failure of delay. The kind that comes with good intentions, endless planning, and I'll do it tomorrow. Called procrastination, and it's the art of silently abandoning your dreams. Procrastination may seem harmless. Da-da-da-da-da. After all, it's just a small delay. A harmless push to next week, right? But when you add up the days you postpone, the weeks you wait, and the months you prepare, you find years gone by. What have you built in that time? Often just regret. Think of time like breath. Each one is precious and fleeting. When you procrastinate, you waste the breath meant to shape your future. You trade action for avoidance. You sacrifice momentum for momentary comfort. And without realizing it, you become a bystander in your own story. Luke once had a dream too, right? A novel that could move hearts. He wasn't short on passion. He wasn't lacking in ideas. What he lacked was action. Each morning, he promised himself he'd start tomorrow. He told himself he needed the perfect mood, the right coffee, a cleaner desk. But perfection is the enemy of progress. And the pages stayed blank. Until one evening, with nothing but silence in the room and a storm of disappointment in his chest, Luke opened the document. His hands trembled, but he typed the first sentence. That single moment shattered the lie he had believed for years that he needed to feel ready to begin. All he really needed was to start. As Seneca once said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Every hour you delay your dream is a wound you inflict on your future self. Don't let that wound deepen. Don't let time slip away quietly. Take the first step. Write the first word. Launch the first idea. Make the first call. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. The courage to begin now, later is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Because once you push past procrastination, you'll find something incredible waiting on the other side. Momentum, clarity, and the life you were always meant to live. Do you know what's worse than failure? It's drifting, floating aimlessly through life without direction, without vision, without purpose. At least with failure, you've tried. But drifting is a slow surrender, a quiet giving up masked by busyness. And distractions. You wake up, you go to work, you scroll, you sleep. Repeat, and somewhere in between you wonder, is this all there is? It's not that your life is a disaster, it's that it's numb. You aren't sinking, you're simply not steering. Stoicism warns us of this subtle danger. Without clear goals, you give the reins of your life to the world around you. Let circumstance become your captain. But here's the truth. If you don't decide who you want to be, someone else will decide for you. Every day, you're either moving toward your purpose or drifting away from it. Seneca reminds us that time is not short, but we make it short by wasting it. One of the greatest wastes is living without a plan. You don't have to have everything figured out, but you do need a direction, a compass, a vision that anchors you when life gets chaotic. Chris Gardner's story is a perfect example. He had every reason to give up. Homeless, broke, a single. Father sleeping in public restrooms, but he didn't drift. He chose a destination. He wanted to become a stockbroker, and he aligned every decision to that goal. He studied, he worked, he sacrificed, because he had clarity. That clarity changed everything. You can do the same. Start by asking yourself two simple questions. Who do I want to become? And what will I do today to move in that? Direction? You don't need a 10-year plan. You just need a daily commitment. One action, one step. One intentional choice that says, I'm not drifting anymore. Because drifting feels safe, but it leads nowhere. Having a goal even. An uncertain one gives your life shape. It gives your struggle meaning. Transforms confusion into momentum. The path forward doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. Pick up the pen. Take back the map. and write the story only you can live. Life won't wait for you to find purpose. You have to create it, one choice, one value, one day at a time. In the constant rush of life, there's one voice we often forget to listen to: our own. Between deadlines, distractions, and obligations, we rarely pause to ask ourselves the simplest yet most powerful question: how am I really doing? Self-reflection is the cornerstone of self-mastery. And yet, in a world obsessed with action and achievement, reflection feels like a luxury, something we promise to get to later, but rarely do. The danger in this delay is immense. Without checking in with ourselves, we risk losing sight of what truly matters. We become reactive instead of intentional. We drift instead of grow. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, believed in the power of examining his actions every single day. He didn't wait for crises to reflect. He turned self-questioning into a habit. And by doing so, he remained grounded in his values, no matter how chaotic the world around him became. Modern life offers us every excuse to avoid reflection. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll do it over the weekend. But those excuses pile up, and suddenly years go by. You've built a life chasing goals that weren't yours, making choices you never questioned, becoming someone you don't fully recognize. But here's the truth. You don't need hours to reflect. Just a few minutes each night can change everything. Ask yourself, was I kind today? Did I live with integrity? Where did I act out of fear, and where did I act from courage? These small questions open the door to real growth. Self-reflection also softens your judgment of others. When you face your own flaws with honesty, you become more compassionate toward the flaws you see in others. It deepens your empathy and strengthens your connection to the world. And perhaps most importantly, reflection builds resilience. When you understand your motivations, your habits, your triggers, you no longer live on autopilot. You live with purpose. You begin to recognize the gap between who you are and who you want to be, and then you start closing it. Don't let life sweep you along like a leaf in the wind. Slow down. Look inward, right? Think, feel. Let your journal become your compass. Let your thoughts guide your transformation. Because the most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. And when you master that, there's nothing you cannot overcome. So don't wait for the world to grant you permission to grow. Grant it to yourself. Pull out a notebook. Find a quiet space. Reflect not only on what you did today, but why you did it. Did it align with who you want to be? If not, how will you? Choose differently tomorrow. This practice, done consistently, rewires your life from the inside out. You stop being a passive participant and become the architect of your future. Because only when you understand yourself can you shape a life that's true, meaningful, and entirely you. Change is terrifying yet necessary. Shakes us, tests us, strips away our illusions. Most people fear it not because change itself is painful, but because it threatens the comfort of familiarity. And so, they choose the known prison over the unknown freedom. But here's the truth. Stoicism urges us to confront. The only constant in life is change. To resist it is to resist life itself. Think about how often we cling to routines that no longer serve us, jobs that drain us, relationships that no longer grow, beliefs that keep us small. We tell ourselves, I'm fine, I'll wait, it's not that bad. Deep inside, a voice whispers, this isn't it. You were meant for more. The Stoics never told us to leap blindly into chaos. They taught us to recognize change as an invitation, an opportunity to become who we're meant to be. Memento mori, remember you will die, isn't a grim warning. It's a wake-up call. A reminder that time is limited, and you don't have forever to chase your dreams. Many people don't begin living until they're forced to, until loss wakes them, until regret haunts them. But what if you didn't wait? What if you chose change now, out of desperation, but out of vision? Fear of change is natural. But fear is not meant to stop you, it's meant to prepare you. Let it teach you where your boundaries are and move through them. Take one brave step. Just one. Because every time you choose change over comfort, you reclaim your power. You say, I am not stuck. I am evolving. And even if the path is unclear, Your willingness to walk it will reveal the way. So ask yourself, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? Then let it go with grace, not bitterness. The future is not something you wait for, it's something you shape. One choice at a time. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to grow. Let the winds of change carry you forward, not bury you beneath fear. Because the most beautiful version of your life lies just beyond your comfort zone, and you are the only one who can step into it. We often think that transformation requires something dramatic, a complete life overhaul, a sudden epiphany, a breakthrough moment that changes everything. But real change usually begins in smaller, quieter ways. It begins with awareness, with reflection, with intention. In the final moments of a long journey, after wrestling with fear, procrastination, distraction, and uncertainty, what remains is the raw truth. You are the only one responsible for your life, not your circumstances, not the people around you, just you. This is both terrifying and empowering. Terrifying because you can no longer hide behind excuses. Empowering because it means your future is still in your hands. Stoicism is not just a set of ideas, it is a daily discipline. It teaches you to turn inward, to focus not on what you can't control, but on what you can. And in doing so, you reclaim your power over each moment. Your thoughts, your actions, your perspective, these are the tools of a free person. So what now? Now, you begin to live deliberately. Now, you become the architect of your days. You start small, a morning reflection, an honest journal entry, a decision made with clarity instead of impulse. You stop looking outward for validation and start building inner strength. You stop waiting for motivation and start practicing discipline. Let every evening be a checkpoint. Ask yourself, did I live according to my values today? Keep a Stoic journal not to track success, but to track truth. Record your intentions, your efforts, your corrections. These entries become blueprints for who you're becoming. Don't just read philosophy. Live it. Let it show in how you handle frustration, how you resist envy, how you meet fear with composure. Let it be the quiet force that anchors you when life pulls you in every direction. Because in the end, a meaningful life isn't built in one grand moment. It's built in thousands of small ones, conscious, courageous, and consistent. Start now. Don't wait until hindsight shows you how much time you've wasted. Use each breath to come back to the present. Take each step with awareness. Build your life like a craftsman, slowly and skillfully, knowing that every thought, every action, and every value-aligned choice shapes who you become. Your future is not written yet. You're still holding the pen. What would your life look like if you stopped waiting and started living? Not tomorrow, not next week, not once things calm down or feel more certain, but today. This final lesson of Stoicism brings everything into focus. Life is urgent. Not in a panicked, frantic way, but in a deeply grounded, crystal-clear sense of priority. Too many people waste years preparing to live. They plan endlessly, accumulate tools, seek perfection, but they never act. Seneca warned us of this trap. While we are postponing, life speeds by. You don't have to look far to see the truth of it. Think about the conversations you meant to have but never did. The dreams you left on a shelf. The version of yourself you promised to become someday. Stoicism strips away the noise and asks, what matters now? Not someday now. It's not about dramatic gestures. It's about cultivating the discipline to live your values each day, even in the smallest ways. Take 5 minutes each night and ask, did I use my time well today? Did I live with integrity? Did I choose courage over comfort? These questions will reshape your path more powerfully than any external achievement ever could. The beauty of the Stoic path is that it doesn't require anything outside of you. You don't need to be rich, famous, or free from problems. You just need to be willing to take ownership, willing to stop blaming, willing to begin. Every step you take from this moment forward is a chance to practice. You'll still face setbacks. You'll still feel fear. But now, you'll meet them with clarity and strength. You'll stop chasing what you can't control and start cultivating
what you can, and slowly the chaos outside will lose its grip.
You'll feel a quiet strength rising, a sense that even when things go wrong, you are not lost. You are centered. So commit fully and honestly to living as a Stoic, not perfectly, but persistently. Use your journal. Reflect, act, grow. The life you long for isn't waiting somewhere in the future. It's already here, hidden in your daily choices. The door is open. Now step through it and live like it matters. As we close this journey, let's pause and reflect on what we've truly uncovered. Through each section, one powerful theme has remained constant. The greatest transformation begins within. You've explored how comparison steals your joy, how procrastination quietly robs you, how fear of failure keeps you from starting, and how drifting without direction wastes your most precious asset, time. But most importantly, you've learned that the power to reclaim your life is already within your reach. Stoicism is not a theory to be admired, it's a practice to be lived. It is the steady reminder that while you may not control the world, you absolutely control how you respond to it. That every thought you choose, every habit you nurture, every value you honor becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. So how do you carry this forward? You begin by showing up for yourself every day in small, deliberate ways. Write your goals. You reflect honestly. You live with intention. You speak kindly even when it's hard. You take action even when you're afraid. You hold fast to what you believe, even when no one is watching. Let Stoicism be more than a lesson. It can be your compass, your guide, your quiet force. Let it speak through your discipline, your calm, your ability to stand tall when the world is shaking. And when you fail, as you will reflect, realign, and begin again, because that is the Stoic way. Not perfection, persistence. Don't wait until life shakes you to start reflecting. Don't wait until you're older to start living. Don't wait until the pain of regret becomes unbearable to start choosing meaning over momentum. Your life is happening now. This moment is yours. What you do with it will echo in the days to come. So breathe deeply, step boldly, and walk forward, not just with knowledge, but with wisdom and action. Because the life you were meant to live isn't some far-off dream. It begins with the next choice you make, and the Stoic path. It begins every single day with you. You've reached the end of this journey, but in truth, this is only the beginning. The insights you've absorbed are not meant to sit quietly on a shelf or live only in memory. They are meant to be practiced, lived, tested, day after day, moment by moment. Now you understand what truly matters, not the fleeting approval of others, not the impossible pursuit of perfection, not the distractions that keep you numb. What matters is living with clarity, with discipline, with presence. What matters is mastering your mind so that the outside world no longer controls your inner peace. You don't have to transform your entire life overnight. You don't need to wait for a dramatic shift. Instead, start with one small thing, one new habit. One quiet decision to stop wasting time on what doesn't serve you and start building the life that does. Let Stoicism be your compass, not your crutch. Let it challenge you. Let it humble you. Let it remind you that the most powerful truths are often the simplest. You are not owed anything. You are not entitled to comfort. But you do have control over how you show up for yourself, for others, for the world. So take the time to journal each night. Ask hard questions. Be honest in your reflections. Celebrate progress. Own your missteps. Stay committed to your principles. Let gratitude ground you. Let discipline sharpen you. Let reflection guide you. You will fall off track. That's part of the journey. But falling is not failure. Staying down is. The Stoic doesn't aim to never stumble. They aim to always rise. This moment, right here, is a choice. Will you live as you did before, reacting, drifting, chasing shadows? Or will you begin living differently, rooted, clear, and true?
8.
There is no perfect time, only now. So take what you've learned, take what you've remembered, and begin. Not tomorrow, now.